Okay, hello everyone. I'm Sergio, a philosopher from Latin America. And here I will to present a case analysis based on a research that I made in 2024. And I'm going to analyze two environmental intellectuals from France and Belgium who try to think about the transition to a new civilization. Thank you so much for the other conferences who attended today in this panel session about authoritarian state, extractivism, and dispossession. And in order to try to get a conversation, try to keep in mind when I talk about this topic, what will be the reaction of these two collapsologies related with geothermal energy and also cold mining energy in Turkey, in Middle East, and Eastern Mediterranean spaces. Okay, this is like the astral of the presentation. If you are interested, this is the research. I try to make a paper based on this. Yeah. You can find it in Center of Digital Philosophy, available in the website. Okay, the indagations that I pursue were two. How is collapsology emerging? Basically in Western Europe, France and Belgium, but also with some connections in Latin America and Colombia, and what tension that is expressed with hegemonic field of societal collapse studies. An academic field that exists in archaeology and history since the 80s. Yeah, these are new actors that appears in 2015. And the second one, and this is the main approach here, is communicate what materialist critics can be articulated regarding the collapsology's program and its catastrophic hypothesis. Okay, let's see a panoramic view. Here we have two different prophets. Of course, the old ones are Joseph Taylor and Janet Diamond, who in imperialistic universities of the global north try to analyze several collapses across the history. Maya, Roman, etc. And they use a kind of multidisciplinary research in order to think how the modern civilization, the capitalist civilization, should avoid collapse. They keep the idea of a soft hypothesis about capitalism can overcome its own contradictions. But now, here in 2015, we get two new intellectuals. They were related with the academic formation, but they try to mobilize in different networks. Here we have Paul Servine, an agronomist engineer and a PhD in philosophy from Brussels University, and Raphael Stevens, environmental business management, and master in sciences, holistic science by Shumardia colleague. These two guys are new actors that try to transform the previous field, this academic field, but launch it in the editorial market, 3 books that are consumed not only by specialists, but also common citizens. What is the main claims and discoveries about this case analysis? Let's see one of them. First one, they consider their catastrophic hypothesis is that thermo-industrial civilization based on fossil industry will collapse. For them is in the next years or decades due to complex factors. They usually use current specialized literature related with planetary boundaries, existential risk, catastrophic events, and all this stuff. They try to create like a new program, research program, that they call it itself a science that combines natural sciences and also social sciences, more beyond the previous field that it was just archaeology, history, and climatology. Here they use more, and even they use aesthetics and arts and cultures. And they say, okay, the capitalist civilization is going to collapse inevitably, but we have two fates. One is that they defend, as European guys, is a democratic contraction or degrowth in small communities to produce energy, or the other path, they try to make an empirical diagnosis, kind of authoritarian management of scarcity, or what we call ecofascism. How rightist government try to appropriate real land and new resources across the world. And they say that the idea is not being like a painter and Jared Diamond, academies who only are thinking in his field, but they try to make a dialogue with social movements and society. So for them, the project is not only science, but also political action and psychology in order to how to deal with this mental stress, climate stress, pessimism across global north and global south. Okay, how the discovery that I find is that there is a soft impact in academy, but the popularity of these guys is in cultural networks. But they try to be fluent in both of them. This is one tweet that they use it in order to legitimize their production. And in the last 23 years, there is a rich literature in all fields, academic fields, 1,485 papers related with worst case scenarios. Worst case scenarios in when the capitalist class is very challenging to the output. This is a kind of impact of collapsologies with different rhetorics. Here we have Jared Diamond participating in National Geographic documentary, like Science for the Future, like 2150. They analyze how capitalists couldn't manage well social resources. But here, a new rhetoric is warning. Is after pandemic, how a French society try to survive and try to create communitarian boundaries. Okay, how these prophets of collapse come from the academia and environmental movement, try to create a counter-hegemony. Now it's not a battle of only papers or books, it's more complex. For example, when they launch their books, they make contract with high companies, Plenary Press, Editions du Sud, and they become bestsellers in months in terms of sales. Also, they use a kind of craftsman software that in the website always is compiling new literature that they use for produce their books. Currently, there are more than 1,000 of scientific articles. They work with no trend institutions, but more closer connected with ONGA and some educative institutions, the Moment Institute, Adastria, etc. And they continually appear in mass media. Currently appears in interviews as experts who dialogue with the society. And also there is a deep web, Facebook groups, Telegram, Twitter, of thousands of members, at least 8,027. How I can try to get the social necessity of the emergency of collapsologies as a new current? Well, there is a kind of scales of causal interrelationships. There is here some of them. Climate struggle in European Union, how these scholars try to read Arab Spring, in the case of Syria, and the lack of water. Also, some local class struggle movements, indignity against Social Democrat Holland labor reform, and currently macro persecution environmental groups as eco-terrorists. And this is very closely connected with other panel that empirically notifies that there is a kind of industry of collapse throughout, not only in science, but also in science fiction. Okay, which kind of materialist critics we can do about collapsology? I'm just going to focus in 3 of them. The first one is the kind of lack of social agency. Is it true that nowadays the workers' movement and political parties of left are weak compared in decades before, but the collapsologists try to say, okay, this path doesn't work. We must just survive when a civilization collapses because of environmental and social claims. What implies this? The French collapsologists are regressive. They are denying the 3 big revolutions that popular masses gets in the history. May 68, the French Revolution, and Paris Commune. They don't capture the current movements that are struggling with big companies, could be also geothermal or mining. And what is the social agency that they propose? The social agency that they propose is after this hypothetical case of capitalist collapse. We can see this one more. Second one, these prophets, modern contemporary prophets, are strongly disagree with the speeches of an European Union about New Green Deal and any idea about sustainable capitalism. Yeah. And what is the conclusion? That the only alternative possible is, as I really mentioned, ecofascism or democratic or communitarian transition. For them, in a Marxist critic, they are thinking about a new Middle Ages with small communities based on properties, of course without landlords, low impact in technologies, farming, in order how to produce and reproduce our life. And this is very popular in the literature about eco-aldeas, communitarian markets, self-management of the communities, and all this stuff. So, based on demographic decline, they are in certain way neo-Malthusianist, fossil decline, and global warming, they propose abandon the modern cities. I met Anatolia, here in Istanbul, there is a powerful industrial city, to rural areas, or use the cities as urban agriculture in each home. And what is the problem? The problem is that we have a productive forces, not only whole, meaning, but new, that the other conferences already mentioned. We have modern productive forces, and we need working class, peasants community, indigenous community needs to deal with them. So we need to maybe think about that, the possibilities of new equalitarian society that is not quite scarcity, most precise, higher technology, advances plan economy, and energetic transition since the working class perspective, no from middle class environmentalist activist. The last thing is this one. It's very interesting that nowadays collapsology is not recognized in the universities, not so much, especially in the academic field about global risk, historical collapses. But what is interesting about Paul Servine and the other guy is how they create new networks that could be useful in terms of class struggle. Use social media, editorial, mass media, and I guess the emergency of collapsology or catastrophic speeches in academy and civil society expressed a deep concern about how the social scientists can create a scientific theory about the crisis of capitalist civilization and its transition. The challenging of this Historical Materialism Conference from people across the world is how to rebuild again a scientific theory that combines all the sciences. Why collapsology is not a scientific theory? Maybe I try to postulate these three things because it doesn't relate objective and subjective factors of production and reproduction of the life and class struggle in the current process and nations and localities of the civilization. Second one, because there is inevitable, this is the intellectuals from Belgium and France just thinking in local terms and not in global terms of working class. And third one, there is a theoretical lack of consistency, predictive power, and real disciplinary approach. Thank you so much.